What's up, everybody? I am Brady here for another episode of the Combat Logic, and today I am going to talk about the aftermath of UFC 264. Now, I want to start out by saying, Driskis Duplessis, you are the man. You did a really wicked job in knocking out a very tough dude, a really great athlete, a really good striker, and Trevin Giles. Just your second UFC fight, you deserve some praise for that. Next, Ilia Topuria, man, his fight with Ryan Hall, holy shit, I was so excited for. That's probably the fight I was most excited for on the whole card, aside from the main event. It's not even normal that the main event is my favorite fight on the card. But, this one was for obvious reasons. But Ilia Topuria and Ryan Hall, man, they're just both such wicked black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Very different types of black belts. They both are, at the very top of anybody's scrambling abilities. Like, no one can scramble to a submission or scramble to get up like they can. Ryan Hall with his leg locks and Topuria primarily with his front chokes, but Ryan Hall's got some really underrated striking too. He's got really good wheel kicks. He showed that in his fight with Darren Elkins 2 years ago. He hadn't fought in 2 years, but he's been in the UFC 6 years and he's fought. This was his fifth fight. It's so unfortunate. He's 36 years old. I didn't know how this fight was going to go at all because Topuria is still very young, but man, he's the future of the sport. Excuse me, he really is. When he's in close, he's got really good in tight range boxing, and he hits hard as fuck. At distance, he's got very good kickboxing, and on the ground, he's so talented, so far above everybody else. These grapplers from Spain, I don't know what it is. People from Spain are really good grapplers as fighters. Joe Alvarez. There's this dude that won the Ultimate Fighter a couple years ago, Juan Espino. That was his name. He's Spanish. He's a really good grappler. Luke Thomas seems to think he's from Georgia for whatever reason. He's not. He's from Spain. Nonetheless, he is a future champ. No question in my mind. Michel Pereira and Nico Price, that went a lot like I thought it would. Max Griffin, Carlos Condit. I want to talk about this fight a little bit. Max came out with the perfect game plan in the first round. He was eating Carlos's legs up. And Carlos is someone who's never really been much of a kick checker. And yeah, he definitely lost that first round because of that. And then in the second round, it appeared that Griffin was trying to conserve his energy for a third round. The commentators were saying that, but they're also saying he might be tired. I was like, yeah, both of those epiphanies are plausible. But here's the thing. If Griffin was trying to conserve his energy for round 3 and he wasn't tired, I don't think Carlos would have boxed him up as much as he did in that second round. Because Max took a lot of punches in that second round. If he was just trying to conserve his energy, yeah, evading strikes does take a lot of energy, a hell of a lot more than any of y'all realize. But I feel like he wouldn't have gotten tagged up as much as he did. Nonetheless, he came out and did what he needed to do in round 3. Carlos Condit hasn't been the same for years and years. It's kind of sad to see, but even in his last 2 wins, he beat Court McGee and Matt Brown. They were not Carlos Condit performances. But he is still finding a way to get it done after losing 5 straight. Not on Saturday he didn't, but, opening up the main card, Sean O'Malley and Chris Motino. Holy fuck, man. This is not the fight at all I expected. Chris Motino has got to be one of the toughest dudes out there. And I was very upset with this stoppage, to be honest with you. A lot of people are saying, oh, there's only 30 seconds left. It's the time doesn't matter. No, it does not. But when he marched forward, that 100% of that fight, he marched forward and was throwing punches. He might have landed 5 on Sean entirely. Nonetheless, dude, he was in that fight. He was making Sean tired by pressing him so much. He wasn't going to do anything in that last half a minute. But, dude, to be honest with you, Sean O'Malley is talking about knocking people out like they're not the same anymore after he knocks them out. And, it's kind of true. It's kind of true. But with this, he didn't finish Chris Motino. And now His last 2 wins are third round knockouts. He actually did finish Almeida. He finished him twice in one fight. He didn't finish Chris Martino, man. Give Chris his respect that he deserves. That's his first decision loss, okay? First off. Second off, if O'Malley won a decision against a debuting 9-4 opponent, it might have humbled him a little bit. It might have made him go back to the drawing board and be like, man, I really need to work on this. I can't knock people out like I thought I could. But nope, he got the finish. So, like, I'm sure he's going to grow from it. He's not going to grow as much as he could have. And that really pisses me off. Because Sean O'Malley is special. He's literally a Conor McGregor 2.0. Irene Aldana had a wicked performance against Yana Kunitskaya. Now, I picked Aldana to win this fight. I bet on her with my bookie. But I didn't put much on it. Because Yana Kunitskaya, I figured her kicks might be able to keep Aldana at range, and her wrestling, she might be able to take Aldana down or at least press her against the cage. That's what it was looking like early on. It looked like Kunitskaya was going to get the better of Aldana, and she was keeping her kicking range. She wasn't flustering Aldana, but it appeared that's how the rest of the fight may go because of the first 2.5 minutes of it. But once Aldana found her range, and she boxed Yana's ass up, landed a beautiful left hook. Might have been a right hook. I don't know. It was a hook, and it dropped her. And about a minute later, after a whole bunch of ground and pound, she gets the finish. That was really awesome. I was very happy to see that. Tai Tuivasa and Greg Hardy, this one a lot like I thought it would. Man, I feel like I'm the only guy that doesn't really fucking hate Greg Hardy. I don't know what his situation is. I know what it's like to have a crazy ex, though. And that woman that testified didn't even show up to court. Okay? You know what that means? She didn't have a case. I'm just going to leave that there. However, controversy has surrounded him everywhere. Like, his first loss was a disqualification. He had a no contest in a fight that he won because he used his inhaler, something the commission told him he could do, and then fucking went back on it after the fight. Really? Greg Hardy's crowning moment is a 3-round decision loss to Alexander Volkov. And, that's not something to be ashamed of. Like, Alexander Gustafsson is the best light heavyweight ever to have never won a belt. His crowning moments are his first fight with John Jones and his fight with Daniel Cormier. He lost both of those by 5-round decision. He could have easily won both of them. I did think he won the Jones fight, which Jones avenged. But the Cormier fight was very, very, very close. Those are his crowning moments, and, everybody respects him. But Greg Hardy, he's got so much potential, man. Not at the highest level, but he's got a lot of potential. He's such a wicked athlete, obviously. He hits hard as fuck, obviously. His striking is getting better and better every time we see him fight. Like, here, I'm going to click on his fucking Wikipedia here. Let's see. 3-0 as an amateur, and then 3-0 as a pro. All by knockout, all in 96 seconds or less. Actually, there's one that went over a minute. 5 of them were under a minute. He lost the disqualification, got 2 first-round knockouts, won a 3-round decision over Ben Sassoli, which was overturned, lost to Volkov, beat Jorgen De Castro by decision, knocked out Maurice Green, and then got TKO'd by Tabura and knocked out by Tuivasa. Those 4 wins he has, actually those 5 wins he has, including the one that was taken away, not a one of those opponents are still in the UFC. But we saw that he could go 3 rounds against Sassoli. Then we saw that he could go 3 rounds and not get knocked out by a former world champion in multiple organizations, M1 Global, Bellator, Alexander Volkov. Then he showed he can go 3 rounds and win a decision without his inhaler. And then he knocked out Maurice Green. And then he came into the Marcin Tybura fight, and he looked incredible in this fight. He looked so sharp on the feet. So sharp on the feet. But his cardio is shit. About as shit as it gets, literally. And his ground game is worse than that. So, like, he doesn't even know how to tie him up. Like, get double overhooks, tie him up, fucking hold him as hard as you can to get the ref to stand it up. I don't agree with stand-ups, but they happen. And that's what you got to do if you don't know what to do. You tie the motherfucker up so he can't strike you and knock you out from on top like Marcin Tybura did. And then, in his fight with Tuivasa, he hurt Tuivasa, man. I think it was a jab cross. He landed the cross and it stunned Tuivasa. It backed him up. And then he just fucking went straight into the fire. He ran straight into the line of fire. And Tuivasa threw, I think it was a cross hook, and landed the hook. And dude, I watched Luke Thomas's live chat, and I am going to use his analogy in this, okay? But I'm going to give him credit for it because he's the one that came up with it. So say this is how you should be facing your opponent. My computer is facing toward me. I am facing toward it. All right? Fucking Hardy hurts Tuivasa, marches straight in. Tuivasa cuts this angle, so now he's perpendicular to him. All right? If I got up and stood on this side of my desk, I would be exactly perpendicular to this computer. All right? Hardy runs straight into it, and then his left hook comes from around this way, cracks him straight in his face. It's just inexperience, man. Like, I'm not going to say he had that win in the bag. Tuivasa is tough as fuck, and he's also incredibly talented. He only started taking his training seriously like a year ago, like, if that says anything. Like, he's so talented. And Hardy hurt him, but he's just inexperienced, man. He didn't think to not rush into a really hard-hitting dude, and he got knocked out. So he is now 7-4 with a no contest. And I don't know if the Greg Hardy experiment is over or not. Honestly, though, I don't want to see him in the UFC anymore. I want to see him go to Bellator. Their heavyweight division is much weaker. They still have some good talents. It's much weaker, though, and he would be much more successful there. Maybe he could return to the UFC at some point, but he's so big. He's such a bulky guy that I don't see his ground game getting better. Like, he's not agile enough off his back. Like, he's just too fucking big. And yeah, his cardio, says that too. Gilbert Burns and Stephen Thompson. This was a good fight. Burns did not look as good on the, this is going to make me sound really fucking stupid. He didn't look as good on the feet as I thought he would. But obviously there's reasons for that. Thompson is one of the top 3 strikers, if not top 5 strikers in all of MMA. I figured Burns would try and rush in and punch him, though, but it's a good thing he didn't. He's smart. Instead, he took him down in the first round. He had to try a few times, but he got it. He lost the second round. He was outstruck, and then he did the same in the third as he did in the first. So, and then Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor. Now, this is so unfortunate, but a lot of people are going to think it's not unfortunate. Karma is karma. This guy, Conor McGregor, talked all sorts of shit on Rafael dos Anjos for years and years about breaking his foot before their fight. Dos Anjos called him out on it on Twitter. And he's like, karma's a bitch, ain't it? Like, now you're hurt. Now you're actually hurt. You opted out of a fight because of it. Just like I did. What does that make you, Conor? Not to mention, dude, I'm just going to come out and say Conor looks so good early on. He looked so good. He looked just like I thought he would. I knew he would make the proper adjustments to where the way the second fight went would not be a factor in this fight. I didn't know that Conor would win. It's actually a very 50-50 fight to pick. But I knew that wasn't going to be plausible because even though it's only been 6 months, Conor McGregor makes adjustments like no one else in the game. He really does. Like, I'd say John Jones, Henry Cejudo, and George St. Pierre, they're the only guys that can make adjustments like him. And they make mid-fight adjustments. Conor can make adjustments between camps. But I knew that he was going to come out kick heavy, and he was looking incredible, man. He was looking like the Conor of old. And then Dustin hurt him because he got overzealous. So he ties up with Dustin and then gets single leg. Instead of defending the single leg, like, Dustin tried to take him down a few times when he was getting outstruck early on. Conor didn't let him. He was ready, man. He was on fucking point. But once Dustin cracked him really hard, Conor tied up with him. And instead of defending the takedown like he did earlier, he jumped on a guillotine. Like, you're not going to submit Dustin Poirier. You are Conor McGregor. You're like, it's not going to happen. And then he ends up on his back. Dude, he got the fucking shit beat out of him from the bottom so badly. It was bad. Like, he ate so many elbows. And about 20 seconds left, he's able to get up. And he gets right back in Poirier's face, and he starts striking with him again. You know, he's showing him, hey, you didn't do shit, even though he did. He's trying to say that to Poirier. And then what happened, he goes for an exchange with Dustin, and it sits him right to his butt. So what I thought happened, Conor threw a combo, and Dustin threw a punch at the same time. When it happened, I thought the punch connected with Conor, and he knew that he was hurt, so he just sat right down. That's what I thought happened. He's like, oh, fuck, I'm hurt. This boy hits hard. I need to get down before he actually knocks me out again. That's not what happened. We saw the replay, and, man, it's just, karma is a bitch. I will tell you. And Dustin was saying after, oh, he was trying to hold the inside of my glove so he could connect with those up kids. Like, he's a douchebag. He was, you know, and then Conor is still talking about Joe Lee in the post-fight. It's just like, man, he still wants this fight. Like, he's the Conor of old, and that's cool, man. But it appears he's really not that great of a person. Like, fame and money, it's not for everybody. I think Conor has really changed a lot, and he's lost a lot of his morals. But Dustin Poirier is going to fight Charles Oliveira now. That's going to be a great fight. But what's next for Conor McGregor? No, Dana White said that he was going to fight Dustin again once he heals up. And it's like, bro, okay, not next. First off, Dustin's going to fight Charles in the meantime. But if Dustin wins, so Conor's just going to come back to a title shot, it's going to be a little over a year until Conor comes back. Okay, Conor turns 33 in 2 days. He is going to be 34 years old by the time he returns. First off, he doesn't need to fight Dustin Poirier upon return. Dustin Poirier had over 80 minutes of octagon time, while Conor had 40 seconds of octagon time since 2018, going into their second fight. That was only added onto going into their third fight, because Conor only had about 8 minutes of fight time at that point, and Dustin, well, about 100. So, no, Dustin's going to have another fight or another 2 fights, and then Conor's going to come back and fight him again while he's been inactive again. Like, that's so fucking stupid. Like, he needs to fight somebody else. He needs to get some wins. Like, Conor McGregor, I said this when he boxed Floyd Mayweather. I was so pissed off when Dana let that happen because I knew it would change him. I knew all that money. It's so hard to wake up and get punched and kicked in your face and drain your lungs every day, every fucking day, when you wake up in silk sheets and you're spoon-fed. It is so hard to have that motivation, and he doesn't have it anymore. I was right. And when he came back, let's see, he lost to Floyd Mayweather, came back, lost to Khabib. That was 2 years outside the octagon. Comes back January 2020, so not quite a year and a half, but well over a year later to fight Donald Cerrone. Then a year later to fight Dustin Poirier. Like, and not to mention, the UFC didn't let him fight last year because of fucking COVID, which was a big ball drop on their behalf. Like, he needs to be active. Conor is so special, man. He could have went down as almost universally considered the best ever. He really could have if he would have stuck with it, if he would have defended his titles. Because as we see, the greats, they stick around and they defeat generations of fighters, like multiple generations of fighters. Conor defeated one generation of fighters, and now he can't defeat anyone now, it seems like. I wonder why. What do y'all think of the aftermath of UFC 264? Were you happy to see that happen to Conor? Were you happy to see Dustin win, or did you want Conor to win? Like and subscribe if you like the video. I appreciate y'all for watching.